Okay, so we've got box, and then there's like this mega room over here, and we have like our tank set up here, and you know you're here, or maybe the supports are here. So we are defending an attack from the front, but if they go through mega, we need to rotate our front line and our supports kind of so we can defend an attack from the right side. So if we don't reposition based on their new attack vector, we're going to get wrecked. In the same way that if you know they're coming from this side and you have enough time, you could even go onto the high ground up on here, so you have that really nice firing line, and you give the Mercy an escape. So rotating, like recognizing and acting on rotations before they can actually initiate their attack is really, really useful. So if I saw them, if I was soldier right here, and I saw them pushing into Mega, I would immediately like fire one Helix, maybe try and get some extra ult charge, but I would immediately start sprinting for the high ground. Because if I can get in this position here, from here to about here is maybe 40 to 45 meters. Probably about somewhere in there. 40 to 45 meters. Helix, nice sight lines, escape from the supports. The tanks, if they need to, can drop back to point. So this is what will trigger a rotation. So your position for an attack from main is not the same as a position from attack from the side. And as soon as you see an opponent committing to a flank attack, you need to rotate, and you want to already have in mind what positions you want those rotations to be.
Anyone need some healing?
And instead, you're all here. Surprised your Mercy survived that, honestly. I'm not sure who she flew to, but there was somebody in the back who your Mercy used to escape. And honestly, they were running dive, so they should not have gone mega, right? So they were, when we're talking about how compositions have a preference to which route they take, dive itself prefers main on Anubis. And instead they went into mega, which you favor. So they took their composition and put it in your favor, which was awfully kind of them. Just a general rule on D.Va, your damage mitigation, or sorry, D.Va's damage mitigation, your damage reduction is less on D.Va if you land the Helix on D.Va's armor first.
Thank you.
So whenever possible, Helix D.Va's mech before you start left clicking, because a Helix rocket against armor goes from 120 to 115, right? But your left clicks go from 19 to 14. So you can either have more than 25% of your damage reduced or less than 5% of your damage reduced. So whenever possible, Helix D.Va's armor, because it will burst her way quicker rather than just having you do 25% less damage. What to do is Rhinorusa if they go right, but have an uncontested Widow on bridge. Okay, so if they go right, if they go right through this mini, the idea is you want to engage them here, because if they take high ground and mega from you, that is a very, very, very strong position. Map theory? Map theory? Map theory? Map theory. Map theory. Is that the same for all armor? That's the same for all armor.
Now entering the temple of Anubis.
Okay, so how to defend first point Anubis. Now that high ground on your left, their right is really, really very strong. Very strong. And you want to be able to defend against this. So this is the reason why, where do divers normally hold on Anubis? If you can hold here if you've got like a Reinhardt or an Orisa, that's perfectly fine. But if you're a diver, you usually hold in this location, unless you're running some like tier 2 or tier 1 split defense. And the reason you're holding here is because it allows you to basically not take any poke. And then if they do try and take the high ground, you can just drop on them here, you can cleave them, You can even like jump on this little roof thing here and be like zap, 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 zap. And even just like this little high ground's enough to keep you alive. But the last thing you want to do is allow an opponent to take this high ground over here because it gives them a mega and a high ground overlooking the point. And if they take this high ground, like if you're playing a Ryan Orisa or something like that, you have to expose yourself and go into the open to try and defend this point against attackers who take this high ground. Attackers who hold this high ground will win Anubis A, just straight up, okay? So the only time attackers ever like want to go here is if they have a really hard comp, like a Junkrat, Orisa Roadhog, or something like that. If attackers are running something like that, yeah, this side is fine. One specific, you know, LOS, unless you're using this flank route, which maybe some of you guys didn't know. Did I fuck that jump up? Like Genjis and stuff can wall climb up here. Can Winston get through here? Yep, Winston can get through there. Cool. So, like, left you would go if you've got, like, a really hard comp. You know, main is where you would start, and if you're running defense main with a shield, you can go here, rotate there. But if you're playing here, and the defenders are going up the staircase, what you want to do is basically fuck them before they can get onto this high ground, right? So, look at this. We've got a really nice sightline, and if you're holding a shield right to the edge, assuming this was, like, an Orisa or a Reinhardt shield, you would basically want to be hooking them, halting them, or if you're playing a Rein, it was not uncommon for us to just literally charge a Reinhardt up the staircase and then collapse on them. Because if they get this high ground position on Anubis, you're utterly fucked. There's not a lot you can do about it. And this is also why treehouse strategy became a thing. Okay? So this moved the static defense comp from the box up onto the high ground. Now, this is presumably really strong. So now we have our Orisa using a Mei boost, getting onto the high ground using this platform here. We've got this Orisa on the high ground, and now, if they dive main, there's nobody there. If they run a hard comp and go left, then they're going up on the box, and we have the advantage. And if they go and take this high ground, we're now even. But the reason why I hated treehouse composition, and I am rather famous for my absolute hatred of the treehouse composition up here, is because we put all of our eggs into one basket, and it became cyclical. So, you know, we use this kind of block hard, and then dive composition became a very strong counter to this. And not all the teams figured it out during stage 1, but all they had to do was basically send, you know, flankers onto either side, you know, both flankers onto the high ground there, you know, whether they sent somebody behind, and then they just basically, they had the dive team, so the dive core, like Zenyatta, Mercy, Winston, Diva, went here. Maybe Genji went through those windows, and Tracer took control of Mega on the high ground, and then what they did is they would just place Harmony on Winston, Defense Matrix him, he would jump up here, and then when Winston landed, his landing damage hits everyone, his cleave hits everyone, Genji swift strikes through everyone, Tracer blinks across, gets some kills, if Genji got one restrike, goes through, and the reason why Treehouse sucked fucking balls is because it put all of your eggs into one basket, and it allowed the divers to basically set up, attack you with any poke, like any poke in advance, they could get on you without taking poke in advance, they get cleave, they get resets, they just shit out damage, and you get fucking wrecked. Now, we've seen, again, we're seeing, this was stage 1 treehouse, but we've seen the meta evolve. And this was a very common strategy, because we could also put like a Widowmaker up there behind the Orisa shield to give her a little bit of an advantage against an attacking Widow. But if you're paying attention in stage 3, if you watched my stream during stage 1, I hated treehouse. It was a terrible comp, it sucked ass. However, new treehouse is a split strat. So they are not putting 5 or 6 people in this location anymore. They're putting 3 people over here. Whether it's a Widowmaker, like having a pocketed Widow here, for example, or a Junkrat. Houston Outlaws put a Junkrat up here. Putting 3-3 instead of basically all of your eggs into one basket allows you to better control this high ground so that the Tracer can't actually get onto your flank. It gives you sight lines into that mega room so that they can't attack your treehouse without taking token advantage. This is still a nice sight line, so you don't have to take the Widowmaker duel if you don't want to and you're running mirroring Widowmakers. This split treehouse strat is the newest evolution on the meta that came out of an evolution of the treehouse strat run during stage 1. So the treehouse strat you're seeing in stage 1 and the treehouse strat that you're seeing in stage 3 are completely different because they are investing a certain number of the resources into this high ground, which also makes them less susceptible to cleave. Anubis A point theory. Map theory. Whee! Hope you found that entertaining. Or educational. Okay, let's go back to this Widowmaker VOD that apparently we're doing.